An American tourist sailed to the North Sentinel. No, it ended badly.
On the 15th of November
where's the North
2018,
Sentinel?
John Allen Chow took a boat to North Sentinel Island expecting a peaceful welcome. He never made it back home. Although before we talk about who he was, what he was doing, and how he came to meet his fate, let's first talk about the island itself. Located in the Bay of Bengal between India and Thailand, North Sentinel Island measures 6 kilometers wide, 8 kilometers long, and is home to one of the last uncontacted tribes on all of planet Earth.
Wait. So his dumbass thought he could go to a random tribe,
He has been discovered.
bother them, and come back unharmed. There's idiots everywhere. There's idiots everywhere. What did he look like again? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Thank you, Deadly is cool.
The tribe is known to outsiders as the Sentinelese, who have an estimated population of between 15 and 500 people. However, there's a reason why taking an accurate measurement is almost impossible. They're unbelievably hostile to anybody who tries to visit the island.
So you're telling me he knew this too, and he still went? He thought he was just the Messiah. He was gonna bring the peace. He thought he was just him.
The first example of this came in 1867 when an Indian merchant ship wrecked on the island's reef, and while the 106 passengers might have thought that they'd stumbled upon paradise, this couldn't have been further from the truth. Without warning, the ship's crew were attacked by the tribe's bow and arrows, and were only able to survive by returning fire with sticks and stones.
He has been discovered.
Thank you, Deadly, for the gifted. Damn, okay, I see you. Someone got paid today.
Found on the beach. They were rescued by a British steamboat 1 week later, yet the captain of the Shipwreck went on to describe the Sentinelese by writing, "The savages were perfectly naked with short hair and red painted noses, and were opening their mouth and making sounds like pa on oh. Their arrows appeared to be tipped with iron." The intriguing nature of the tribe led a party of armed British officials to return 13 years later in 1880, at which point they'd find, quote, a network of pathways and several small villages that looked to have been freshly abandoned. They'd eventually find 4 Sentinelese children, as well as an elderly couple, who were kidnapped by the party and taken back to the nearby city of Port Blair. However, their stay didn't last very long, as all 6 Sentinelese sickened rapidly and the old man and his wife died.
Oh my God, so that means they've been there since like the beginning of time. Because if they get sick that quickly, that means their bodies haven't been introduced to none of the diseases we've been through like all of life. That's insane, bro. And they have no vaccines, none of that. So basically, y'all kidnapped people and murdered them. That's basically what happened. And y'all mad why? Y'all mad about, oh, they're not friendly to outsiders because those 4 children went back and said, yes, they killed our parents in whatever language they speak. Like, what do you mean?
So the 4 children were sent back to their home with quantities of presents. 16 years after this, a Hindu convict escaped on a...
Someone said, Waka, my sister watches you. Stop being weird. She watches me already. She's a lost cause.
Makeshift raft
Thank you,
from the
Deadly, it's
adjacent
cool.
Great Andaman Island, only to wash up 50 kilometers west in the worst place imaginable, North Sentinel. A search party found his body lying on the beach pierced with iron arrows, with his death sending a clear enough message for nobody to return to the island for almost 80 years.
Damn.
However, in 1974, a film crew shooting a documentary called Man in Search of Man landed on the island to leave gifts.
We came at last to what is known as the North Sentinel Island. Although some expeditions had landed here, the
Bro, what are they
Sentinelese
doing?
had never been sighted. We left gifts of coconuts, knives,
I'm not putting
lengths of
hot
cloth.
sauce, ketchup, and mayo on my spaghetti. What is wrong with y'all?
A pig.
After which the Sentinelese were caught on camera for the very first time.
What are those moving shapes? Are they human? At last, the first glimpse of the Sentinelese. This tribe
They
believes
ready
in
to
total
strike y'all down
isolation.
immediately.
It will not
They ready to strike y'all thing down immediately. Thank you, Deadly.
tolerate a stranger.
As is obvious in the footage, the tribe had no interest in making friends, and rather buried half of the gifts they'd been given before shooting arrows toward the film crew.
A member of
Damn!
our film unit was wounded by one of the many arrows, each 2.5 meters long. Wounded by one of the many arrows, each 2.
How did y'all get this up close footage? How did they get this? How the hell did this happen? What?
2.5 meters long. He will carry this scar till his death.
If on Google Maps
They
you zoom
emoting
into the
on y'all.
coastline on the island's northwest corner, you'll find a different boat which now acts as a permanent reminder of North Sentinel's hostility and unrecoverability. The ship going by the name of the MV Primrose had been transporting farming supplies to Australia before it wrecked on the unfortunate location in 1981. The ship's passengers were incredibly lucky because at the time, this entire area was underwater, keeping them at a safe distance while they organised their rescue. In the meantime, the Sentinelese observed the ship from their beach, with the crew members describing the tribe as well-built, frizzy-haired and black. They were naked except for narrow belts that circled their waists, and they were holding spears, bows and arrows, which they had begun waving in a manner that seemed not altogether friendly. However, while almost every example so far displays the Sentinelese as an untouchable group of brutes, it would be exactly 10 years later when a single anthropologist did the impossible. He made peaceful contact for the very first time. T and Pandit had been dropping gifts and coconuts to the island every 1 or 2 months since 1967, although for the first 24 years of doing so, the Sentinelese maintained their hostility.
It took 24 years, bro. Man, if they don't loosen up, they over there. Come on now, 24 years. 5 at most. Like, what are y'all doing, bro?
But all of this changed on the 4th of January 1991, when the tribe finally concluded that he was only there to help. Pandit described this day in a 2000 interview with the American Scholar, which stated a great many of the Sentinelese started running down the beach and splashing through the surf toward the dinghy. The director leapt from the boat into chest-high water. One of the young Sentinelese men recalled in fright and handed coconuts to the tribesmen as they crowded around him. A few weeks later, he returned to North Sentinel with another expedition. This time, several Sentinelese men went so far as to climb into the dinghy and grab entire sacks of coconuts.
That's how we got the up-close footage. Okay.
Pandit was alone in the water with a group of Sentinelese. One of the young tribesmen looked at him, scowled, pulled out an iron-bladed knife, and made a gesture, Pandit says, like he was going to cut out my heart. Maybe he thought I was planning to stay on the island. But the dinghy quickly returned to pick Pandit up. He would return to North Sentinel several more times before retiring from the Anthropological Survey in 1992. The interaction showed that peaceful contact with the tribe was possible, although only after a significant period of trust building, and even after T and Pandit's unique interaction, the Sentinelese retained their hostility toward any unfamiliar outsider.
It took a quarter of a century to get their trust. A quarter of a century. That's insane.
For example, after the 2004 Indian Ocean
You have some?
earthquake
No, it's
caused the
all gone.
worst tsunami in recorded human history right next to North Sentinel Island, a helicopter was sent out to see if the tribe had survived from such a catastrophic event. Well, not only were the
They started
Sentinelese
shooting that
somehow
thing
doing
down,
just
huh?
fine, but their response to the help offered by the Indian government was to throw spears, arrows, and rocks toward the
Yep.
helicopter. 2 years later in 2006,
I want to know what they thought the helicopter was. Like, what are they thinking? Are they thinking it's a dragon? What is a dragon to them? Oh, that's what makes them interesting, but we don't know.
2 men aged 48 and 52 were fishing for mud crabs near the island. However, the pair got so drunk that while sleeping, the anchor of the boat, which was a rock tied to a rope, fell apart and drifted the men toward North Sentinel. The following morning, fellow fishermen said they tried to shout at the men and warn them that they were in danger. However, they did not respond. They were probably drunk, and the boat drifted into the shallows where they were attacked and killed. A government helicopter was sent to recover the bodies. However, given the tribe's hostility, all they were able to get was this photo, after which a 5.6 kilometer exclusion zone was enforced by the Indian government, making it illegal for anybody to visit the island. This, in combination with every other example so far, paints a very simple picture. Do not visit North Sentinel Island under any circumstances. However, unfortunately, John Allen Chow never got the message. Born on the 18th of December 1991 in the state of Alabama, John grew up in what seemed to be a standard Christian household with 2 parents and 2 siblings. As he got older, John began to get into various outdoor activities such as camping, hiking, and kayaking.
Leave it to the cock, man. Leave it to the cock. Leave it to the cock, man.
Which, when combined with his religious background, inspired him to become an adventure blogger and Christian missionary. On his Instagram, John displayed his trips to countless different countries including Mexico, South Africa, and Canada, each of which being documented on his Rugged Trail website. However, there was one location that John had his sights set on, which would make all the others seem insignificant: North Sentinel. He'd grown obsessed with the idea of visiting the island during his previous trip to the Andamans in 2016, and judging from the quotes he he posted to his Facebook, John seemed to have been inspired by another missionary named Jim Elliott, who was killed in the 50s whilst preaching to a native tribe in Ecuador.
Why are you inspired by a man who was killed by the tribe he was visiting? Is that what he just said? He's inspired by a man who was murdered by the tribe he tried to visit? Where's the brain power working at?
Though, according to the head of the mission he was working for, John was significantly more prepared. All Chow's decisions, including his studies of sports science and training and working as a wilderness emergency medical technician, and classes he took in linguistics and cultural anthropology, were in preparation to share Jesus with the North Sentinelese.
You tried to go there and preach? You don't know their language. And all that preparation does not compare to being, they actively live on that island. That island is their life. None of that preparation means anything of that. Linguistic, you don't know their language. What is happening here? Oh my God, he's actually dumb. He actually wasn't smart. He actually was not smart.
He was very well prepared for this moment.
No, you
On the
weren't.
21st of October 2018, John posted this image to social media, showing that he was back in the nearby city of Port Blair, where unbeknownst to his family, he was planning his trip to what he called Satan's last stronghold, aka North Sentinel Island.
You called it Satan's last stronghold and you still went. The caucasity.
The 15th of November 2018, only 25 days after landing back in the Andamans, John began a journal to document his trip to North Sentinel, with his first entry stating that a group of fishermen had agreed to take him to the island illegally. I met last night with the fishermen who are all believers and agreed to drop me off. Jonathan won't be accompanying me as they will be at sea doing their regular fishing maneuvers to avoid raising suspicion, and there is a high chance that they get checked by the Indian Coast Guard. The meeting went well. I trust them, though I'm the only English speaker, so there's quite a language gap, and I'm relying on the Holy Spirit to direct us.
Oh, he put all his faith in Jesus and none in his brain. Oh, he put only his faith in Jesus and he had no brain power to think of doing this. Oh, this is so nasty. Oh my God.
Drop zone was pointed out on the map as being a cove on the southwest of the island, and I depart in 3 or so hours. God, I thank you for choosing me before I was even formed in my mother's womb to be your messenger for your great news to the people of North Sentinel Island. John then explained his plan for first contact
I think
by
I know
stating
everything
the plan
about
is to link
John
up with
based off that one message. I know everything about John. Everything I need to know.
the crew tonight and depart tonight, arriving at the shore around 4 AM. From there, we make progressive contact with fish as gifts over the next few days and then send me off. We might even send a kayak laden with gifts towards shore. The following day, John explained that his trip to the island went as planned by writing, "At 4:30 we entered the cove on the western shore," which was followed by his first attempt at contact approximately 4 hours later. Around 8:30 I got 2 large fish, around 15 pounds it felt like. I put them on top of the kayak and began rowing. 2 armed Sentinelese came rushing out yelling at me. They had 2 arrows each unstrung until they got closer. I hollered, "My name is John. I love you and Jesus loves you. Jesus Christ gave me the authority to come to you." I regret I began to panic slightly.
They don't know who Jesus is. They don't know him. They think you're crazy. Bro, how did he make it through life so long? This is outstanding. He studied linguistics, all these other cultural whatever, but never studied common sense. I'm so blown right now. Thank you, All Father, for the sub. I'm so confused.
As I saw them string arrows in their bows. I picked up the half tuna and threw it toward them. They kept coming. I backpaddled facing them, and then when they got the fish, I turned and paddled like I never have in my life back to the boat. I felt some fear, but mainly was disappointed they didn't accept me right away. I can now say I've been nearly shot by the Sentinelese, and I've walked on and cached gear on their island. Now I'm resting on the boat and will try again later. John escaped his first encounter unharmed. However, as mentioned in the previous entry, he planned on returning for a second encounter, which miraculously he'd survived once again. I waited my kayak toward the hut I'd been chased from on initial contact. Sure enough, as I got there, I heard the whoops and shouts from the hut. I made sure to stay out of arrow range, but unfortunately that meant I was also out of good hearing range. So I got a little closer, and as they, about 6 from what I could see, yelled at me, I tried to parrot their words back to them. They burst out laughing most of the time, so they probably were saying bad words or insulting me. I yelled some phrases and sang them some worship songs and hymns, and they would often fall silent after this.
Wait, so you repeated what angry people who don't like people said back to them. So they call you a bitch, you call them a bitch back. You sung words in languages they don't understand.
Here's when this nice meet and greet went south. A child and a young woman, both with bows, came behind, and I kept waving my hands to say no bows, but they didn't get the memo, I guess. Then a little kid with bow and arrow came down the middle, and I figured this was it. So I preached a bit to them starting in Genesis, and disembarked my kayak to show them that I too have 2 legs. But the little kid shot me with an arrow directly into my Bible, which I was holding in front of my chest. I stumbled back, and I recall yelling at the kid for shooting me. I had to swim almost a mile back to the boat at the mouth of the cove. The plan now is to rest and sleep on the boat. By this point,
This is unbelievable. This is actually next level stupidity. This is a level that I haven't even conceived of. I didn't know this level existed, and here we are.
John already had an unbelievable story for the ages. He had gone to the island, survived his first day, returned on a second day, was shot by the Sentinelese point blank, but lived to tell the tale after the pages in his Bible decided to spare his life. However, as the journal entries continued, it became obvious that John was happy for his legacy to be the guy who died trying to preach his religion to the tribe.
You can't help crazy. That's all this means. He kept trying and trying the exact same way, failing the same way repeatedly. Didn't learn, and then died, and then act like that was a good thing.
Lord, let your will be done. If you want me to get actually shot or even killed with an arrow, then so be it. I think I could be more useful alive though, but to you, God, I give all the glory of whatever happens. I don't want to die. Would it be wiser to leave and let someone else continue? No, I don't think so. I still could make it back to the US somehow, as it almost seems like certain death to stay here. Yet there is evidence of change in just 2 encounters in a single day. We'll try again tomorrow. The following day, John wrote his final entry in the journal, beginning with, woke up after a fairly restless sleep, heading to island now. I hope this isn't my last notes, but if it is, to God be the glory, before going on to write a goodbye message to his family reading, Brian and Marilyn and mum and dad. You guys might think I'm crazy in all of this, but I think it's worth it to declare Jesus to these people. Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Rather, please live your lives in obedience to whatever he calls you to, and I'll see you again when you pass through the veil.
They're not gonna be mad at them. They're mad at you. They're mad at you for trying to preach about someone they know nothing about. You don't know these people, and you went and randomly just started preaching about a guy they don't know. They don't know Jesus, bro. I don't understand. How did no one oh my God, this hurts my head. It hurts.
Don't retrieve my body. I love you all, and I pray that none of you love anything in this world more than Jesus Christ. Written from the cove on the southwestish, more like west of North Sentinel Island. 16th of November 2018, 6:20 AM. In the days that followed, his family made a post to John's Instagram reading, we recently learned from an unconfirmed report that John Allen Chow was reported killed in India while reaching out to members of the Sentinelese tribe in the Andaman Islands. Words cannot express the sadness we have experienced about this report. He was a beloved son, brother, uncle, and best friend to us. To others, he was a Christian missionary, a wilderness EMT, an international soccer coach, and a mountaineer. He loved God, life, helping those in need, and had nothing but love for the Sentinelese people. As a family, we ask for your understanding and respect for him and us during this time. Thank you, the Chow family.
He loved God. That's one thing we can definitely say. But how did they get that journal?
2 months later, John's father criticized religion for the death of his son, stating, "If you have anything positive to say about religion, I wish not to see or hear it. John is gone because the Western ideology overpowered my Confucian influence."
No! No. Your son is crazy. Your son didn't use this. Your son was the exact definition of book smart, but not street smart. It's not even street smart. He had no common sense, and someone raised him that way. I'm just saying.
He blamed evangelicals' extreme Christianity for pushing his child to a not unexpected end, which is a viewpoint often repeated across social media platforms. John Allen Chow is not a martyr, just a dumb American who thought that tribals needed Jesus, when the tribals already lived in harmony with God and nature for years without outside interference. Stupidity cannot be considered to be a martyrdom.
I mean, shit. There's not much else you can say. I mean, he's right.